one of the most common questions that we get at the ICS has to do with liens. And there are a lot of complicating factors with liens, so liens, first of all, are only going to be on personal injury cases, not on work comp cases or on healthcare cases, right? Healthcare insurance cases. It's really just personal injury cases, whatever they may be, automobile accidents or slips and falls, things along those lines. That's what we're talking about. And that is all covered under the Healthcare Services Lien Act, right? And so all of that's going to be covered under that specific statute, and there are specific calculations that come into play. There are specific requirements that come into play. We cover all of that extensively in a great article, actually more than one, online to walk you through all the complex portions of this, because it does get incredibly complex. And so all of that information is available to you. Just go out to iochiro.org, look up liens, please read through the article. It gives a lot of really good information. Now, the other things that are in that article are really, really important. There's two other key items. One is it allows you to download a lien form that is editable. So you can download that form, put it on your letterhead, add in the names, and you know that you will have all of the required elements for the lien. If you've received a lien from, say, a practice management group or downloaded one off of a website, a national website, or whatever the case may be, it may not have all of the required elements under the Healthcare Lien Act, and attorneys can actually reject your lien because it's not a proper lien. It doesn't meet the requirements of the law. So make sure you have one that meets all the requirements of the law. The one at iochiro.org attached to our lien article absolutely will have that, and so I would encourage you to check that out. Now, the other big important tool in here that we have is we have now added, and this is brand new as of right now, we have added a lien calculator for you. This is where everything really gets complicated, right? So the question is how much are you entitled to under a settlement or judgment? And it gets complicated. In the article, you can actually click on the calculator, you key in the settlement amount, you key in your lien amount, you key in the other healthcare providers and professionals amounts, and at the end, it will tell you exactly how much you're entitled to under the law, according to the data that you entered, and it will even give you text that you can use in response to an attorney if they've given you maybe a lowball offer. You can actually send back specific text on what you would accept and really what you're required to accept under the Healthcare Lien Act. And so that tool is now available to you. So now the calculation, what does that look like? How does this work, Mark? Well, this is why it's complicated. First of all, in some cases, it's not really complicated. All of the calculations are going to be based on the full gross amount of the settlement or of the judgment. So if the attorney is trying to reduce it by expenses on a case, that is not allowed under the Healthcare Lien Act. It has to be based on the full settlement amount. So if it's $10,000 the settlement amount or the judgment amount, and they're saying, well, after expenses there's $9,000 to distribute, that's not the case. The calculations are done on the $10,000 mark, right? So it gets really simple if you're the only provider, if you're the only healthcare professionals in the case. Now, what's the difference in a healthcare professional and a healthcare provider? Healthcare professionals are people. That would be MDs, DOs, DCs, PTs, any dentist, for example. People. Providers are entities. Groups like hospital systems or hospitals, ambulatory surgical centers or ambulance centers that take care of, the transport, if you will, ambulance transport systems. And so that's important to know, right? You need to know the difference. Professionals are people. Providers are entities, and the actual calculator will walk you through all of that and gives you the exact examples according to the law, and they all have to be licensed in both categories before it even comes into play. So a random person can't just file a healthcare lien. They have to be licensed. Now, what does that look like? If you're the only healthcare professional that's in the case, or the only healthcare lien holder on the case, then really the calculation's simple. So for example, in the case I gave, it's a $10,000 settlement, and your amount is maybe $900. That's well under the $3,333.33 threshold, the 1/3 threshold, and then you would be entitled to your full lien. Anything over the $3,333.33 then would not be paid according to the lien. However, this is very important to know, you can actually balance bill the patient for that amount, unless you accept a general release from the attorney when they make the offer. Accept full and final payment. That's the typical language that's used, so you want to be careful in that regard, and the language we use in the calculator helps you with that as well. But then, what if there's other professionals? Well, what happens then if you have a lot of professionals and it exceeds the 1/3 amount, then you would actually share proportionally according to your lien amounts. You would share that proportionately with the other healthcare professionals. Where it gets incredibly complicated then is when there's also providers in and the total amount is greater than 1/3. It makes it possible to actually get into and potentially have all of the lien holders access as much as 40%, but there are limits. First of all, the groups of healthcare professionals can never get more than 1/3. The groups of healthcare providers can never get more than 1/3. If both are greater than 20%, then both are capped at 20%. And then there's iterations, that go in between all of that. And again, that's why it's so incredibly complicated. And quite honestly, why we developed this online tool for you to utilize to go in, key in the amounts. You can actually save it so you can come back to it later. We give you not just where you can list all the lien holders and you could print off that information, but you can also actually cut and paste the calculations if you need them for court later in the future if that ever were to become a need. But it also gives you text that you can use in response to lowball offers coming from attorneys on healthcare lien cases. So I'd encourage you to go take a look at the Lien Calculator. You can just go to ilchiro.org/lien calculator, all one word, ilchiro.org/lien calculator for the calculator. You can also visit and go to ilchiro.org/liens, LIENS, and you can access the article that has access to the lien form and everything else. Both of those are available to you direct, and hopefully this information is going to help you out, and we will catch you next week.